Hey guys, welcome back to Carib 21 Network. So in today's video, I want to talk about the Jamaican power couple, and that is Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness and his lovely wife, Juliet Holness. So when Andrew Holness won the election and people were looking now to see if there's going to be any change in the cabinet, and we saw pretty much the same cabinet from the last administration, a lot of people were disappointed because they wanted to see change. But we knew from day one when we saw that Juliet Holness is going to return as Speaker of the House, that the Prime Minister and his wife, they are going to become a big target for reinstating her as Speaker of the House. But in this video, I'm going to explain why this would be a bad strategy for the People's National Party to target the Prime Minister and his wife. If they ever want to have a chance of winning the next election, attacking the Prime Minister and his wife is a bad strategy. So, let's talk about it. So, as I said, attacking the Prime Minister and his wife is not a winning strategy, and I'm going to explain why. So, let's start with Dr. Andrew Holness. So, Andrew Holness, what people need to realize is that the Prime Minister of Jamaica is an inspiration to a lot of Jamaicans that were born in his time and a little bit after. The Prime Minister is one of the most inspirational figure in Jamaica in our lifetime. And let me explain why. So Andrew Holness came from like a poor background. You know, he talks about it quite often about, you know, one bedroom board house, going to St. Catherine High, and not one of them traditional high school in Jamaica like Jamaica College, Kingston College, Calabar. Did not grow uptown and come from wealth. So that alone, a lot of young people, a lot of young men especially, see themselves in Dr. Andrew Holness, say like, look, if this man can come out of a board house, growing up with his mother and his grandmother, and ascend to the highest office in the land, and becoming like a power figure right now, where he's looked up on as one of, if not the best Prime Minister in the history of Jamaica, and where he's coming from. That is inspirational to a lot of young men. So when you attack the Prime Minister personally, a lot of young men are going to feel like you're attacking them also. So I don't think it is a wise idea. You know, attack policies, attack other things, but do not attack the Prime Minister and his wife. And as I said, the last time I met, I think I shared this story before, but the last time I met, I spoke to the Prime Minister of Jamaica. It was about 26 years ago. And that was Andrew Holness, a young MP. And he was actually the MP from my era, living in Cockburn Pen, you know, Olympic Gardens, Waterhouse, that era. And the last time I spoke to him was election time, and the Prime Minister came, you know, knock on my gate, and where I live was like a stronghold, like a PMP stronghold. And the Prime Minister came, knock on the door, knock on the gate with a couple other election workers, and you know, I came out and him shake my hand, and he's like, you know, introduce himself and say like, would really appreciate your vote and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, talking to the Prime Minister respectfully and all of that. And very intelligent young man at the time, you know, we're pretty much, he's about 4 years older than me, so we're pretty much at the same age. At that time, young politician, I am a young businessman, we're at the same level. And when I look at the Prime Minister now and see where he's at right now, I'm like, to me, he's an inspiration to me. So just imagine other young men that grew up and see the Prime Minister and see what he was able to achieve. And we had that conversation, and he's trying to convince me. I say, yo, you know, like vote for JLP, you know, put your X beside the bell and all of that. And I remember at the time, because at the time I'm a young man and I'm getting into my own identity. And I'm saying that I'm not voting for Edward Seaga because, you know, I'm thinking at the time that, look, Jamaica is a 85% black population. And I was born into a system seeing Michael Manley, hearing about Norman Manley, Buster Manty, And I'm thinking at the time, as a young man, at the time about 20, early 20s, like it just look away to see like so many, like all these leaders, like men that are not black men leading us. So at the time, I'm like, you know what? No, black man time now. PJ Patterson, I say. And so as I said, so just to see that young man that I met like over 25 years ago, became the Prime Minister of Jamaica, win the third straight election, and is now surpassing like Edward Seaga and Bustamante as one of the towering figure in Jamaica politics. That is motivation, that is inspiration. And as I said, attacking him personally and attacking his wife, young men from communities that the Prime Minister grew up in, they're going to look at that as you're attacking them also. So it's a bad strategy to attack the Prime Minister and his wife. And that is the first reason. So second reason, Jamaica is changing a little bit now from in my time when I was growing up in Jamaica, where we're seeing now more two-parent homes in Jamaica. We're seeing more fathers dropping off their sons and their daughters to school. And we're seeing more couples working together to achieve something great in Jamaica. But growing up in the 70s and the 80s, it wasn't like that. When I was going to school in the 80s, like in my class, like I think I knew about 2 people in my class that came from a home with both parents. Everybody else is a single mother home. Like I was actually like adopted. So like I was one of the few persons without a mother and a father. So to see the Prime Minister, as I said, a figure, someone that come out of the ghetto like myself, someone that could have easily fell for what the system have done to a lot of guys. To see this man with his wife, one wife, for the entire time. And when you see images of them holding hands and pictures of them holding hands and see them smiling. And one of the things that stood out to me is that I look at the Prime Minister's wife as, like as a strong black woman. A lot of people use the term strong black woman, but a lot of times when you see the term strong black woman, you're seeing the image, like especially in America, like, yo, I'm a strong black woman. I don't need a man and I can do this by myself. But when I saw the night when the victory speech and the Prime Minister came up to address the nation, I looked at his wife. And when I looked at his wife, I'm looking at her, looking at him, and she just looks so proud, so happy that, look, her husband is creating history. And it is not easy for anybody that's been married for a while and for anybody that, if you have a wife and you know that both of you are like in high profile jobs, it is not an easy thing. It is not an easy thing to have like a strong black woman that can do what you do, or she can do better than you, but that mutual respect is still there. So for young black men who are looking and say, you know what? I want a wife that we can work together, power couple, we can build, we can create generational wealth. When they look at the Prime Minister, as I said, a Prime Minister that came from a single parent home, and they're seeing that, and you are attacking the Prime Minister and his wife, even if you're talking about nepotism, the Prime Minister shouldn't give his wife that job there, it don't look good and all of that. Yeah, it might make sense to you, but for other people, when they're seeing that, they're seeing you attacking a black couple. So as I said, this is the number two reason why I don't think attacking the Prime Minister and his wife is going to do any good for the People's National Party. I actually believe it's like doing a disservice, like you're pretty much digging your own grave trying to attack the Prime Minister and his wife, because a lot of people, a lot of couples are going to see themselves in this couple. As I said, a couple that grew up poor, they're able to achieve the highest office of Jamaica. They raise their family. They have wonderful kids that they send their kids, educated kids, and they achieve the highest generational wealth, which everybody in Jamaica, that is what we want. Generational wealth for ourselves, for our kids, and we want to raise our family. And to see the Prime Minister and his wife achieving that, coming out of a Jamaica where in the 70s and the 80s, like a single parent home, like about 65% of the homes in Jamaica in the 70s, in the 80s were single parent home. So that is the reason why I think attacking the Prime Minister and his wife is a losing strategy and should not be attempted. And I know people are watching and saying like, look, you can't say anything you want to say, but the Prime Minister and his wife, them are thief and this, and they're making over $50 million a household, and that is not right because a lot of Jamaicans going to bed hungry and all of this stuff. Like I hear all of that, but let me answer that. So the Prime Minister's salary is said to be $28 million. The Prime Minister said he did not take the new salary. I don't know about that. I don't know if he has to come out and prove that he didn't take it. But that was the salary, $28 million. The Prime Minister's wife, over $22 million, which would bring it up like a household income of over $50 million. So that is one of the things that people are saying that, look, the household income over $50 million. The Prime Minister didn't have to give his wife Speaker of the House, because if she wasn't Speaker of the House, she would be making what the other MPs, they're making like $14 million or so. So let me address that. So the idea of the Prime Minister wife should not be Speaker of the House, I can understand how it look in terms of conflict of interest. The Prime Minister and his wife pretty much Speaker of the House, keeping everybody in check. But I believe where the mistake was made, if the People's National Party, if they weren't comfortable with the Prime Minister's wife, Juliet Holness, if they weren't comfortable with her being Speaker of the House, why was she Deputy Speaker of the House? That is the question that they need to answer. Nobody said anything when she was Deputy Speaker of the House. I believe that if they weren't comfortable with her being Speaker of the House, they should not have allowed the Prime Minister or for her to be appointed Deputy Speaker. They should not appoint her Deputy Speaker of the House, because that is what a deputy is. Like if the Speaker of the House goes down, the deputy is the next person in line to step up. So that is the first thing, the first place where they went wrong. You can't complain now when she was already Deputy Speaker of the House. That makes absolutely no sense. Talking about nepotism now. Nepotism can be looked at as unethical and all of that. But I don't think it, in most cases, not illegal. So a lot of people are talking now and they say like, yo, the Prime Minister give him friend them, or the members of Parliament that, in the Prime Minister's circle, they got the offices where them can get the most money and stuff like that. The People's National Party have done the same thing too. Portia Simpson Miller cabinet was 20, I think she had 20 people with high profile position ministry that were making more money, way more money than the other MPs. So again, that is an argument that is not going to win an election. The best thing, if the People's National Party ever want to see office again in this modern time, they are going to have to attack policies on performance, not personal attack, because we saw that it didn't work in the last election. And just judge the Prime Minister now based on the performance that this administration is going to do. If they don't perform and you think they are being paid too much, because the reality is that the People's National Party MP also, who enjoyed the increase from the last time, over 2 years ago, when the Prime Minister increased their paycheck. These MPs, they're nice. Like, they're not complaining about their paycheck. So if they're not complaining about their paycheck, complaining about the Prime Minister and his wife paycheck is not going to look good, because not the Prime Minister and his wife alone got a hefty increase. Everybody got an increase. And I know the opposition leader say like, he's giving it to charity, which makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense, because you would have to prove to the Jamaican people, bring receipts that every time you get your paycheck, you're handed over your paycheck to charity. I believe that the best thing would have been if the opposition leader wanted to protest against it, he should have protested and take a stand and say, look, I am not taking this thing, and I'm urging my MPs not to sign off on it or whatever, but not sign off on it and then say like, oh, I'm going to give it to charity. So, as I said, I don't believe it's a winning strategy. You can take this information or leave it, but it's been proven already. attacking the Prime Minister on his personal life is not going to work. Because one of the things that people need to understand, growing up in Jamaica, most Jamaicans, when you talk about politicians, Jamaicans have a thing where them say like politician a thief, pastor a thief, and police a thief. Like a lot of Jamaicans, that's how them think. So if you go and say the Prime Minister a thief now, a lot of people, that's not going to resonate with them, because in their mind already, them just think that all politicians are thief. So for that reason alone, it is not a good idea to attack the Prime Minister and his wife. As I said, take it or leave it, but that is my message to Mark Golin and the People's National Party, whoever think that they're going to just attack the Prime Minister for the next 5 years and set up themselves to win the next election. Not gonna work. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this. Do you think that the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness and Juliet Holness, a household income of over $50 million, do you think that is too much for this power couple? And do you think it was wrong for the Prime Minister to reappoint his wife as Speaker of the House? Sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.